a godly friend. And I emphasize a godly friend. You can get counsel, but not all counsel is profitable. And get with somebody who really walks with the Lord, somebody who has some wisdom and some godly wisdom, and get with that person and say, here's what I regret. Can you help me with it? What's your input? What's your advice concerning this? Assess your situation. Somebody said the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. But if you didn't plant a tree 20 years ago, the second best time is today. Today. You say, well, I should have done something years ago. Years ago, I wish I'd have, but that's gone. It's water under the bridge. The next best time is today. Assess your situation. I grew up wanting to play football when I was a boy. My dad was a football player. He was an all-conference high school football player, and he had some offers to play college ball. He didn't go on to college because his family was very poor, and he just had to go to work, and he didn't have a daddy, but he loved. My dad loved football, and we used to go to Nebraska games, and now and then we went to a few, but he was pretty busy, didn't go to many. But I went to just basically almost every one. We used to get these what they called knothole tickets. They'd give them out to the school kids, and you could sit in the end zone. And the end zone was bleachers. There wasn't a bowl then, and you could get in for 50 cents. And so we went to all the games, and except band day. On band day, they didn't honor knothole tickets because they were trying to trump up a crowd, and so they'd have all the high school bands come and play at halftime, and the bands were located in the end zones, and so they wouldn't let us in on our knothole tickets, and so we thought it was our God-given right to go to all the games, so we climbed over the fence and got in. Regrets, But anyway, I just grew up loving football, and so when I went to high school at Lincoln High, I wanted to play football, But I took after my mother, and I was small. I mean, I wrestled 127 as a junior weight, 138 as a senior, so I wasn't very big. And I tried to play football. And mainly, I tell people, I mainly played tailback. Every time I got up, the coach said, get your tailback on the bench, And so I didn't get to play very much. And this went on for a couple of years, at Lincoln High. And it was my junior year, and I was only getting in, just a little bit. And it was embarrassing, And so finally, after one game, I just said, that's it. And I quit. And I quit. I didn't even go check in my stuff. It just hung in my locker. And I didn't even go tell the coach, nothing. That's it. I just quit. I was mad. And one day I was walking down the hallway of the high school after that. And here came the coach coming towards me. Oh, my lands, I was looking for a door to duck in, And Coach Aldi Johnson coming down the hallway, and you don't do that to Aldi Johnson, And he met me head on, and I knew I was in deep trouble, and I was. He unloaded on me and just read the riot act at me in the hallway and gave me a lecture. To this day, I'll never forget it. He said to me, Carl Godwin, are you going to quit in life? Every time things don't go your way, you're going to quit? Are you just going to quit every time? And boy, he just reamed me out, and I just took it. I had nothing to say. And boy, he gave it to me. You didn't even come in and talk to me. You didn't check in your stuff. You just quit. You quit on the team. You quit on the coaches. Oh, my lands. He made me feel that big. And I walked down the hall when he was finally done with me, and I was mad. And I was mad at him, but I was also mad at me because I knew he was right. And I said to myself, you're wrong, Coach. I'm not a quitter. And I'll tell you something. It is so ingrained within me to not quit to this day. You come look at my dictionary, and the word quit is cut out. I don't know the meaning of quit. I think you know that. And I have this dogged determination, to finish a race even if your hamstring goes out, And there's just, it's there. And a few years ago, they had something over at the high school for us guys, us old guys, and I went over, and there was Coach Johnson. And I went over and talked to him, and I said, you probably don't remember. And he didn't remember, I'm sure. He acted like he did, but I know he didn't. And you probably don't remember chewing me out for quitting the football team. And but I said, I want to thank you for it. You gave me both barrels, but it affected me for the rest of my life. And it did. I mean, it affected me for the rest of my life. And so sometimes you can assess your situation and say, and you can come out of it with the right perspective, and you can say, you know what, I will use this failure, and I will use this wrong that I have done, and I will learn from it, and I will assess this situation and come out of it. And so, number one, A stands for assess your situation. Number two, be yourself. Be yourself. And we see this in verses 28 and 29. We have to kind of jump over a little bit. We didn't read this. The older brother didn't come into the party, the celebration. In verse 28, the elder brother became angry and was not willing to go in, and his father came out and began pleading with him. But he answered and said to his father, look, for so many years I have been serving you. I have never neglected a command of yours, yet you have never given me a young goat so that I might celebrate with my friends. And so he's out there sulking, and he doesn't come into the party. But this guy, even though he was selfish in his heart, as we see the word I many times in what he's pouring out to his daddy, he stayed home, and he didn't blow his inheritance, and he didn't make the mistake. And so it would have been easy, and maybe the younger brother compared himself to his older brother. And when he compared himself to his older brother, he came out on the short end of the stick. And so be yourself. When you have regrets, oftentimes you compare yourself with somebody else. Oftentimes, this is the way it is. Why am I not like my brother who never screws up like I do, you know? And why did I not make good decisions like so-and-so, you know? And we compare ourselves with other people here at church, you know? Why am I not a good Christian like so-and-so? And why am I not a successful believer like so-and-so? Why do I fail? And comparison sometimes magnifies regrets. And competition magnifies regrets. Competition can be a good thing, but it also can magnify regrets in our lives. Be yourself. If only I had been like. No, be yourself. Here's a couple thoughts in being yourself. Remember, you don't have to compete for God's love. You can't earn it anyway. God loves you just like you are. He loves you too much to leave you like you are. That's why He has you here at church this morning. He's trying to work on you and me to change us to be more like Jesus Christ. But He loves you just like you are. And you don't have to compete for God's love. You don't have to say, oh, if I could just be like so-and-so, I bet God would love me like. No, no, no. He loves you just like you are. You don't have to look at verse 86, Psalm 86:5. For you, Lord, are good and ready to forgive, and abundant in loving kindness to all who call upon you. God is abundant in loving kindness. Yes, I have some regrets, but I want you to know He is abundant in loving kindness to all. Remember, you don't have to compete for God's love. Number two, the second remember God celebrates your uniqueness. He celebrates you, who you are. He made you as you are. You don't have to be your brother. You don't have to be somebody else no. God loves you just like you are. He knows you better than you know yourself. The very hairs of your head are numbered. You don't know yourself that well. God knows you, and He loves you just like you are. Psalm 139, I will give thanks to you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. God made you.